Hey guys, welcome to BitBoy Crypto. I am your host, BitBoy. Today we are going to be talking about some institutional updates regarding the ETF possibly getting approved. We're also going to be looking at the NASDAQ actually going to be opening futures contracts in Q1 of next year. We're going to talk about at the end a little bit about John McAfee's prediction of $1 million and whether or not that will still come true. Or we're going to really give you an update of where it is now. And of course, as always, when I say we, I mean me and all the voices in my head. And at the end of the video, we're actually going to look at something that a lot of people are saying is bad news for Ethereum, but it could actually be the thing that propels Ethereum back ahead. So something to monitor. So we look at the markets right now. We're at $125 billion. Bitcoin dominance at 53.1%. Very interesting that even with all the volatility that we've had, about almost $100 billion swing over the last couple of weeks, Bitcoin dominance is still stayed around 53%. So very interesting. We did get a little bump yesterday as we talked about our news video, but we have really kind of leveled off here. We're going back and forth between about 36 and 38 when it comes to Bitcoin. We're at 38.19 right now, so it is up at this moment 2.5%. XRP, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, and Stellar rounding out the top 5. Bitcoin SV still coming in the top 10 right now. It's at number 9. It's got a pretty big gap between it and Monero, so we'll have to see if Monero can bounce back up into the number 9 slot. So we've actually had the longest period of time now where XRP has been ahead of Ethereum. And I told you guys a couple weeks ago that I believed that the next time that XRP flipped Ethereum, if you will, that I thought it was going to be at least somewhat permanent. So we'll have to continue to monitor that. And, we'll have to look at how our Ethereum news at the end of the video is going to tie into that. So, okay, we had Hester Pierce, who is the hero of cryptocurrency, one of them certainly. She is an SEC commissioner. She's very favorable on Bitcoin. She was recently on the podcast, What Bitcoin Did, with Peter McCormick. You guys may watch or enjoy that podcast. I thought it was a very interesting interview that I thought it was very interesting he was even able to get her on the show. But basically what she said was that there's no reason why we can't make laws now for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in regards to, approving ETFs and things like that can't later be amended based on the growth of technology, right? So right now, we have to work with what we got, and it's a promising technology. It's a promising market, so we should go ahead and allow the Bitcoin ETF to be approved or whatever that might be. She didn't specifically say that, but that's kind of the implication. And then if down the road things change, where they can kind of come back in and tweak it a little bit instead of waiting forever for it to get approved. I think do not quote me on this, but I believe that the last ETF to get approved was copper, and I think it took 5 years to get approved. Maybe that might not be exactly right. But I know copper was the last one. So it did take a long time to get approved, much longer than the Bitcoin ETF is going to take, hopefully. So, all that being said, if you've got an asset like copper that took that long for approval and it's not a changing technology, then it's a little surprising that she feels this way. But, the thing about it is she said, even though the technology is emerging and that they want to kind of give some leeway to it, do not try to scam. If you do, the SEC will come after you. We got some news today from the SEC, an article that was published regarding something that we talked about in our top 5 worst crypto YouTubers video last night that was just a parody for you guys that were wondering. I had some people that were saying, somebody said, I lost a lot of respect. You talk bad about 5 YouTubers. And I was like, yeah, they're 4 of the biggest YouTube channels out there. They're not crypto channels. And then I did The Simpsons. Come on, guys. Let's be for real. Whole thing was a parody. It was a joke. So, but what I talked about in that video is how, we basically don't need to be, we don't need to be going after YouTubers for making bad calls or, maybe making a mistake here and there. But yes, we do need to go after people who are straight up scammers, people that are scamming people for money each day. Those are people that kind of fall with, outside of, just a normal YouTuber, I guess I would say. Someone who is actually out there trying to manipulate people to take money from them, like an ICO scam or an exit scam, something like that. And the SEC definitely does need to go after those people. But the SEC also released some information today saying that what they're going to be doing is they're going to be looking at influencers who have done sponsored reviews. And now going forward, if you do sponsored reviews, you're supposed to not only say that it's sponsored, you're supposed to also say the scope in the amount of the relationship. So very interesting if we'll see YouTubers doing that. I think this is one of those things that we're just going to kind of have to see how it all unfolds. But it was also another very interesting article today. I should have pulled it up, but I didn't. So also we've got NASDAQ is going to launch Bitcoin futures. And of course, the title of this article is What Crypto Winner? NASDAQ to launch Bitcoin futures market. So like I said, it's going to be in 2019, Q1. And supposedly, like, NASDAQ just isn't scared. They're just not scared of, where cryptocurrency is right now, which is good that they have confidence in it. However, futures markets does not mean we're going to get a huge bump, guys. If you actually go back to December when the future markets were, first approved, the CBOE ones last year, what happened to the markets when those got approved? They went down. That's really kind of when things started going downhill for crypto, or at least within the range of the couple of weeks where things kind of turned. So don't look for this to be like some kind of giant savior, but the more institutional money that does come into crypto, then obviously there is going to be, somewhat of an effect. I don't necessarily think it'll be relating or correlating immediately to dollars and cents, but over time, I think it will be a good thing for the markets. Now, is it a good thing for cryptocurrency and decentralization? That's a totally different conversation. I've made my thoughts plain on this several times. I think that at this point, it's Pandora's box. We can't avoid it, but it would have been nicer if we could have avoided it at one time. So, speaking of people who hate institutional investors and say that we should band together and stop them at all costs, John McAfee. You guys may not know about this website. It is the Bitcoin price prediction tracker. John McAfee says one Bitcoin will be worth $1 million by the end of 2020. Is he losing his bet? And this is basically a line that runs through that shows you where he needs to be at what date. But as you guys can see, it should be at about $25,000 according to this line here. And as you can see, we're at 38.37. So we're very far under that line, 84.6%. A lot of people point to this and say, oh, John McAfee's obviously wrong. But I don't agree with that. I think actually I don't think it's a great chance he's going to win, but I definitely think it is possible that we could still see these kind of numbers over the next two bull runs, which is probably what it would take to get there. Now, I'm not predicting that. I don't think I put the $1 million Bitcoin more in the 5 to 10 year range than where we are right now. And a lot of people would say that's still crazy bullish, but by 2020, I necessarily don't think that's going to happen. Or by the end of 2020, so December 31st, 2020. And, it looks bad when you look at it like this, but then when you zoom out and you look at the all-time, where it is, from where the prediction started to now, it looks crazy. But if you think about kind of how the Bitcoin chart looked last year and how you look at these huge swings in 2013 and they look like little blips, I'm still not ruling this out. So just very interesting to continue to look at this prediction. We all know what the gamble is over. I think the better question is not will he win or lose the bet. I think the better question is what is he going to do if he loses the bet? That's going to be absolutely insane. So, okay, we got several ICOs that sold more than 100,000 ETH in the past 7 days. Some notable ones including, Electrify Asia, Quant, Sentinel Protocol, Storm, Kyber Network, probably the biggest one on this list, I would think. Proppy, District 0x. Those are all some that we maybe talked about here or there on the channel, maybe in a news update or whatever it might be. I don't think I've done a review on any of those. I haven't done a full review on any of those projects. But it wouldn't have been sponsored anyways. But, it's very interesting because a lot of people are looking at this and they're saying, okay, these ICOs are continuing to sell off ETH, and this is going to be a super bad thing for Ethereum. It's going to continue to push the price down. And yes, to some extent, that is true. And if you watch my review on the top 5 coins not to buy during the crash, I listed Ethereum as kind of 5B, Neo is 5A, and Ethereum is 5B. And the reason is because they have a lot of questions. And this really drives home my point here, because if this is true and these projects are selling off ETH, it might actually be a good thing, as opposed to the other issue I brought up, which is, will they be able to scale? That's really a severe issue that could cripple Ethereum forever if they can't do it. So because of those two issues, there's just so much uncertainty with it, which is why I include it. I still think Ethereum's going to be okay. I think one day that it can come back. I don't know if it'll ever get back in the number 2 spot, but it can gain Satoshi value in the future. I don't think Ethereum's not bad. I think a lot of people really misunderstood what I was saying there. And people did bring up the point. They said, well, there's a lot of questions about a lot of platforms. And yes, there is, but the spotlight is on Ethereum because it was number 2 at the time. I think when I made the video, or it was very close to number 2 at that time. And I think that, you know, as we look at Ethereum, it was one of the main culprits that brought people into cryptocurrency last year. I know a lot of people that don't know anything about crypto, but they know about Ethereum. So, you know, very interesting to see the spotlight put on Ethereum. And because that spotlight combined with the uncertainty, that's why I put it on that list. But with this scenario where all of these ICOs are selling off ETH as the price is going down, and many people raise the point that these companies, kind of like you want to scale in when you're buying, they're kind of scaling in as they're selling. So at every level it drops, they're selling more to try to maintain value. And if we look at a lot of these projects, they don't actually cost that much money to run. That's why they probably all raised way more money than they needed, which is probably a good thing considering how things are now, because right now ICOs are not getting close to what they say they need in current ICO sales. But what about the scenario where all of the ICOs basically sell out of their ETH, which we have to kind of be getting close to those levels? Anyone that is feeling the pressure to sell their ETH right now for their ICO project, like, okay, do you want to sell it for $50 a piece? Is that going to benefit you at all? It would probably be better if it gets down to $50 to ride it all the way down to zero. And I'm sure a lot of people are saying that with the price at $100. Once we were at $200, $300 and things like that, it kind of made sense because a lot of these projects came in when the price of ETH was like $800, $900. They lost 75%, but they still had some good money. But now that the price keeps dropping and dropping and dropping, that pressure to sell is getting less and less and less. And every time these projects sell their ETH, it's most likely somebody who's going to hold it for a long time that's buying it. We talked about that a couple weeks ago with or maybe earlier last week, about the stabilization of capitulation and kind of how that works. When people are selling at these low levels, they're selling it to people that are buying in at these levels. So they got much further to fall before they really get panicked. Or really, if you buy it at $50, you probably don't feel panicked at all, which most likely we will never see. So as we see the release of this pressure from these companies to sell their ETH, this could be when we really see Ethereum start to charge back. It's certainly not going to outcharge the overall crypto markets in terms of if everything's going red, it's going to go green, but it can gain its Satoshi value once again. Ethereum right now is not doing well in Satoshi value at all right now. It is coming in around 2 to 3% of the Bitcoin price, whereas it was up to 10% of the Bitcoin price at one time. At one time, it was at 0.1 satoshis, and now it's at 0.02 satoshis or 0.03, somewhere in that range. So because of things like that, I definitely think that when Ethereum is able to stabilize from all of these ICOs selling off the ETH, it could be good news for Ethereum and the price going up. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to click the subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications. On our channel, you're always going to get edutainment. We're always going to try to do entertaining education, sometimes just entertainment videos. So I hope you guys really liked that video I made last night. It was one of my most fun videos I made. I had a really good time with it. So everybody, thank you so much for watching. BitBoy out.